Hi, welcome to Square Ruth. That's my nickname and that's my show. Today I have someone here with me and our discussion could be life-changing for you. It could save your life. Tracy is my teacher from a course I took last summer in self-defense. This is Sergeant Tracy Gonzalez of the Cheshire Police Department. And I took a 10-week course at the Cheshire Senior Center on resisting aggression with defense, the R.A.D course, R.A.D. And I saw it in the bulletin. I said, oh, I should take that. Little did I know what it would do for me. It turned me from someone who felt very wimpy and defenseless and helpless into someone with confidence, someone who watches what's going on and knows how to be alert and what to be alert for, and different things I can do. We're going to show you some of the moves. We learned some really good moves, some very important moves. We'll be showing you that during this session. Tracy.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Last summer we were together for 10 weeks.
We were together for a long time. I think a little over 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we liked it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because you took questions from us.
Yes.
And you said, if I have to go more than 10 weeks because I care about your questions,
Yes.
that's what we'll do.
Yeah, because discussion's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. Thank you for letting us highlight this important program that we provide to the residents of Cheshire. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned so much. We learned about how to watch for certain things, with the idea being you're going to try and escape. Your mindset has to be on escape as soon as you can. You may only get one opportunity to escape. Right. You have to be able to defend yourself and so forth, but always be alert for that. So.
Right. Always kind of be aware of what's going on around you. Don't bury yourself in a phone. Don't, pay too much attention to the people you're with. Really keep an eye on what's going on around you. And I think that's the basis of this program, is just being aware of the risks that we face every single day, because you never know when one might turn violent.
Oh, you should see how I walk through a shopping center now. My goodness, after that course, I don't carry my pocketbook. I put it in the trunk. My credit card is in my pocket.
Yes.
And if I drove to Stop and Shop and I got my pocketbook there, I drive somewhere else to get out of the car and put it in my trunk and go back to Stop and Shop. I'm alert to these things.
Yes.
And I look around. I notice who's there. I don't just walk aimlessly and have the cell phone like you said.
Yep.
I'm alert.
Yeah. And I think that's what shows a successful class.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that you're aware of your surroundings and you're ready for anything.
Yeah.
And you have the confidence to do whatever you need to do to get out of a situation.
I learned the important stuff. Can you tell us something about how important this course is? Like what we need, things about how much danger is out there.
Yeah. So I printed out a couple statistics statewide. This is from 2022, just to give you an idea of the violent crimes that are happening in the state of Connecticut. Cheshire, for the most part, is a very safe town. We're rated one of the safest towns in the nation. We all know that. However, we don't all exist just in Cheshire, and things also happen in Cheshire. But for example, victims of violent crimes in the state of Connecticut, males 65 and over were at 551. Females 65 and older were at 537.
That's last year.
Just last year. So that's almost 1,100 victims of a violent crime. Let's get that down. Let's get that lower. I mean, that's the basis of this whole entire program. Just to give you a little bit of background on R.A.D. We've been teaching R.A.D. I've been teaching for about 9 years. We have 6 instructors. We're all R.A.D certified. R.A.D stands for Rape, Aggression, Defense, and we normally teach this to women ages 16 and older. It's very important to teach women how not to be abducted, how to defend themselves, especially when they're going off to college, the high school girls. But I had the opportunity about 5 years ago to go to a R.A.D for seniors class, which to me, I think it's such a vulnerable population that I was really happy to take this course. We've been teaching it probably one time a year since then. R.A.D for seniors kind of is less of a self-defense class and more of a risk awareness class, recognizing risk, being aware of it, and knowing what to do with it. We do a lot of discussion. We do a lot of discussion about different crimes that are happening with the older adults in Cheshire. from fraud, prescription drug crimes, to using public transportation, keeping your home safe. A lot of discussion, which is why it runs over a lot of time, because we really get into good discussions. You guys always ask really good questions. And then at the end of every single session, there's 10 sessions, an hour and a half apiece. By about an hour in, after we've done our discussion, we get into self-defense. And we don't expect you to be kicking and punching and doing all these things, so we use your natural abilities to self-defend yourself, self-defense. So people with mobility issues could take this class. It doesn't just have to be someone 65 and older. Anybody with mobility issues or, lots of different parts of the population could take this class. It's for men and women. Anyone that wants to take it can take it. And we use, chairs as part of the self-defense. We use, if you have a walker, if you have a cane, if you have a knee pain or shoulder pain, it's all kind of taken into consideration and used in order to teach you how to defend yourself against an attack.
Yeah, when we are at this age, I'm close to 80, and you notice how frail you become when you're in your 65, 75 range, and you feel like you're very vulnerable.
Yes.
And one thing that this course gave me was the knowledge that there are things I can still do. I could get badly hurt in an attack. And there are people out there who are aggressors, who have mental issues, and I could be their victim. But I've learned to not see myself as a victim, and I just have the training and the information now. Maybe we should show some of the moves that we could be doing. All right, this is the best part. We are going to show you some of the moves that I learned in those 10 weeks that just take you out of your comfort zone and get you ready to be in a defensive, resisting aggression situation. It's so good.
It is. So one of the main things that we teach in R.A.D is to prepare for an attack. We don't ever want to be in an attack, but we are going to be prepared for it. So you always carry yourself knees slightly bent, your feet are separated, your weight is evenly distributed, your hands are ready for anything. They're not tucked in your pockets, you have a phone in your hands, they're not crossed in your chest. You're ready for whatever may come to you. So, Ruth, defensive stance. Yes. Do you see what she looks like? Her knees are bent, her feet are separated, her weight is evenly distributed so she can move. Her hands are up. They're not covering her face. They're up so she can see everything that's going on around her. She's watching her attacker. Your eyes are on me. She's making eye contact to let that person know, I see you. You're not going to surprise me. So from this stance, we can do a strike. We can do a kick. We can do a knee drive. We can do anything from this stance. So this is one of the foundations of R.A.D, is that defensive stance. Regardless of age, sex, it doesn't matter. This is where you start.
And in that defensive stance, I'm not going to be quiet and Miss Nice and Miss Prim. I will be yelling. I won't be screaming.
What are you
going to
yell?
Oh, nasty things.
Yeah. And what happens when you yell?
It gives you a confidence, and it also gets you breathing.
Yep.
Breathing is hugely important, because if you're in a terrifying situation, you hold your breath, you're weaker.
Yep.
You have to breathe.
You have to breathe. And if you scream, it's coming from up here. If you yell, it's coming from down in your diaphragm. It's keeping you strong. It's kind of building up your core, and it's getting oxygen to your brain if you're yelling. So we're always yelling. We're yelling. Get back. I see you. Get away from me. Whatever you need to yell. If you stop yelling, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
So it was that. So now you want to...
Yes, there was something that very important to me that I learned, because a chokehold is something you can die from in seconds. And I learned what happens if someone's behind you, putting you into a chokehold, how you protect yourself. I'm going to show this on Tracy because I'm taller than her. An attacker would probably be taller. So if I'm going to attack Tracy with a chokehold and I get her like this, she's going to show you what the victim is supposed to do.
Okay, and I'm going to go through the motions, okay? So the first thing you want to do if somebody grabs you from behind like this is separate your feet, get a good base. You're going to kind of bend your knees a little bit. You're going to kind of push your back over, and you're going to get them off. You're going to get them off kilter so they don't know what's really happening to you because you're ready for this. Now, most importantly, her elbow is right against my neck and blocking my breath. I can't breathe. I'm going to dig my fingers in, and I'm going to drop my chin. And from here, I can breathe. And if I can stay here and breathe, I can stay here for a long time. If I get enough sense and I get oxygen going to my brain, I could maybe start doing some defensive moves to her. I could maybe do a shin scrape. I could maybe do a foot stomp. There's a couple things that I can do to try to get out of this. But even if you can't, if your chin is dropped and you're really in there and you're breathing, that's all that matters. Because if you're breathing, you're alive. Right?
As soon as they get their arm like this against your throat, you can die. You have to get it away from your throat and tuck it into their elbow.
And it happens very quickly. Very quickly. Within seconds, somebody can choke you out and you can pass out. And then you're out of the game. So that's just one way to kind of stay in the game.
Okay, well, that plus a dozen more we learned in our course, and it's so valuable. Well, that was just a couple of things that we learned, and it was just fabulous to learn them and practice them. And there are 10 basic principles in all these moves that we went through, and this is like the summary of the entire course. There was more. We did learn about fraud. We learned about problems with prescription drugs and so forth. But the big thing that had such an impact on me was to get out of my mindset of victim and into my mindset of having no fear, having courage, and really going on offense. Part of defense is a feeling of offense, and it was so good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so there's 10 basic principles with anything that we teach. This is kind of the R.A.D. This is behind all of the R.A.D. self-defense. So number one is increase reaction time. And how do we increase reaction time? We're aware of our surroundings. We situate ourselves in positions where we're not running into the risk. We're kind of overseeing everything. So even the positioning that we do in a room, we talked about that, so you can kind of watch what's going on. Number two is obtain good balance. When we showed the move, I talked about how Ruth's feet were separated and her knees were a little bit bent, her hands were not in her pockets. That's obtaining good balance so that you can't just be pushed over if something were to happen to you.
And that one is a big deal for older adults because you're so aware of how you flop over sometimes. Yes. And I did the defensive stance wrong in the first lesson and I almost went flying. Yes. And that was when I really saw that this is training me to be able to have a balance.
Yep, absolutely. Number three is develop a plan of action, which is why we take this class. We give you the action. We give you this toolbox with all these tools in it that you can think about. I know as a police officer, when I respond to calls, I'm always thinking about how am I going to react? What's the worst case scenario? What are the different options I have to deal with this particular type of call? Because you never know what's going to come up. But if you develop a plan of action and kind of know what you're going to do A to Z, then when you get there, you've already practiced it, you're good at it, you've thought about it, and you can do it. Number four is use distraction techniques. That's where that yelling comes in. Yelling for people, telling people, I need help. Don't be afraid to yell. Don't be silent. Try to distract the person that's attacking you. Maybe point and say, oh my gosh, look over there. Anything. You never know what's going to work for someone who's so stressed and so focused on attacking you. Number five, identify vulnerable locations. Everybody has vulnerable locations on their body, and we go over them. We list them all. So know those locations and remember them. Those are the places that you're going to want to focus your attack on the human body. Number six goes hand in hand with that is use your personal weapons. Do you remember some of the personal weapons?
Well, we can scratch. We have feet. We can kick. Knees. Yeah. I loved learning to pull the attacker to me as I kick. Yeah. That was really
That's a powerful move.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Our hands, our fists, our heads for headbutts. I mean, we have a lot of personal weapons that we can use as long as we know how to use them. Yeah. Yep. Number seven is avoiding confronting force with force. Do you remember we said when you distribute a punch, a strike, you're not going to punch towards the chest, because what's that? That's mostly muscle and bone, and your hand is mostly bone, so you might break some fingers. So you don't want to try to punch someone as they're punching you. You don't want to punch someone in a hard location. So that's why we teach you the vulnerable locations, so you know where to focus all those strikes. Number eight is avoid panic, and we avoid panic by breathing.
That is the key.
Yeah.
The breathing.
Yep.
Because if you hold your breath, you can go nuts. We only have about 2 minutes left.
Yes.
So let's see.
Okay. Number 9, disengage and run. It's always key. If you can get out, get out. And number 10 is practice. Practice everything you learned in this class.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know when I get into that defensive stance, I feel like Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
And it gets me into that mood. And I practice that sometimes when I'm getting dressed and so forth, because I just remember flopping. I said, I can't. When I'm in a situation, I want to have that strength.
Yep.
Something I noticed is that this kind of a situation drew us all in the class out. Because we all kind of started off as Miss Prim.
Yes.
There were half a dozen of us. And we just, during the class, we all decided that we were going to be stronger than the way things were before. And to let the feeling of anger come in, not I am the victim, but you have no business doing that to me.
Right.
That kind of a feeling.
Right.
How about the main objective, this beautiful quote about what this course is about: to improve the personal safety of seniors through proactive strategies and physical techniques which address issues unique to their age group.
Yep.
Everybody's getting older. We as seniors happen to be very good at it, more so than the rest of the population. But it's unique to our age group to think this. You have to think a certain way. And I'm so glad that R.A.D relates to seniors. You take care of young people too. You take care of kids.
We do.
And of course just for men and so forth.
Yep.
What else can we think about with the course to minimize risk for ourselves?
To minimize risk for ourselves, I think the number one thing is to really be aware of your surroundings. Really be aware. If we can teach you nothing else, be aware of your surroundings, be ready for anything. So that's I think the most important thing that we can teach you, and have confidence.
Yeah, I always used to hear the saying, well, I don't want to be looking over my shoulder wherever I go.
Yeah.
Well, you have to. You don't just walk mindlessly.
Right.
You need to be mindful.
And trust yourself.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. Trust that feeling you get that somebody is watching you. Trust yourself.
It was gut training too. Like the idea, don't just open your door when the doorbell rings.
Yep.
Find out who's out there, whatever it is.
Yep.
And if you have to look through a window or have one of those ring doorbells, whatever it is.
Yep.
I used to just carelessly open the door.
Right.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh,
We all carry different purses. We all check our cars before we get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You learned a lot.
All that.
Yeah.
Well, I just really am happy with how it went. I just felt like I was a different person.
Good.
After the course.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
I don't know how how you are with other groups and so forth, but you really helped our entire class. We developed like a support group among us.
We did.
Yeah.
I was sad to leave you guys. I was sad when the class was over. But we'll hold them again, and I hope that people, everybody, every time we teach it, get as much out of it as you did.
And thank you. And there's a lifetime membership.
Lifetime
in R.A.D.
return.
You can return to a R.A.D course as a refresher at any time.
Anytime, anywhere, any state that holds it, you can go back to it.
This is a nationwide?
Nationwide. It's actually worldwide. There's 375,000 students that learned R.A.D.
All these years?
All these years, yeah.
I hope that today's session was something that made you think, I need to take a course in that, or watch videos in that, or learn whatever you can about it. You're not a victim. Be a person that can make a difference. You don't need to be a victim at all, and that's what this course taught me. And thank you so much for that, Tracy, I'll tell you.
My pleasure. R.A.D for Women and R.A.D for Seniors are taught several times throughout the year by Cheshire police officers. The program is free of charge to Cheshire residents. For more information, please visit our website or call the police department.